We're joined now by Noura Ekarat. Noura is an associate professor at Rutgers University and author of Justice for Some, Law and the Question of Palestine. Noura, thank you for joining us. We have seen a surge in violence over the last 8 days. How did we get here, and is there any end in sight? We heard Imtiaz speculate a little bit that that could be on the horizon. What's your take?
Thank you for having me. I just want to correct some of the framing. This is not an Israel-Gaza conflict. This is Israel's problem with Palestine and all Palestinians. Today, there is a general strike that unites Palestinians across all geographies in the Gaza Strip, within Israel, in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and across the diaspora. It is called the Palestinian Intifada, or Uprising of Unity. We are sending the message that this is about Israel's apartheid regime and settler colonial domination that seeks to remove Palestinians from their land and implant Jewish Zionist settlers in their place. For those people who are concerned about an end to violence, know that when the spectacular violence is, the image of violence is over, that the violence against Palestinians will continue. Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have been subject to 15 years of siege, where their caloric intake has been regulated and maintained at a particular level. I want to emphasize to people that Israel has been an occupying power of Gaza since 1967 and has been oppressing Palestinians for decades. Hamas was only established in 1987, launched its first rocket in 2001. So how do you explain Israel's oppression of Palestinians in all that time if we're only focusing on what is the rocket attacks and not the structure of violence that Israel metes out over all Palestinians across a single geography without distinction?
I think that's an important point, and thank you for providing that historical context to this larger dialogue that, has swept the world over the last few days. So let's jump off of that. What role do you think the media has? You talk about reframing. What role do you think the media has in ending the violence in Gaza?
What an excellent question. So much of this has been perpetrated by the media and, frankly, journalists who are so much more capable of doing the investigative journalism themselves, of sharing the actual stories. They have been afraid. Headlines have always run the killing of Palestinians in the passive voice as if it was a natural disaster and not Israeli airstrikes and not targeting of Palestinians. Amnesty International showed in 2014 that Israelis struck inhabited Palestinian homes. They were not collateral damage. They were targets. No one was held to account. The media plays a significant role in this, and so much of the work that we're doing has been to allow us to speak for ourselves. Imtiaz is wonderful, but he said earlier, he framed that Palestinians in Gaza are stuck between Hamas and Israel and are victims of their fighting. No, they are victims of Israeli airstrikes. They are victims of Israeli siege. They are victims of an Israeli politics of death that they have said in Hebrew that you can translate is meant to terrorize Palestinians into submission. So I think that the media has a tremendous role to play. I applaud those journalists that have been risking their life and limb in order to share this story, and for the editors who are not editing those headlines, but allowing the active voice to prevail in order to show that there is a perpetrator and a deep imbalance of power that subjects Palestinians to a structure of violence.
Some may argue that Hamas also plays a role in, the perpetuation of this violence as well. Earlier, a spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Forces stated that talks of de-escalation are off the table as long as Hamas continues firing rockets into Israel. On Monday, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell addressed the discussion of a possible ceasefire and Israel's right to defend itself. I'd like to play you a clip from that, so take a listen.
There's a saying that's been around quite a while. If Hamas laid down its weapons tomorrow, there would be no more fighting. If Israel laid down their weapons, there'd be no more Israel. So let's leave no doubt where America stands.
Do you agree with Mr. McConnell's assessment? Let me know your take.
Absolutely not. Mitch McConnell is reading an Israeli propaganda talking point. Palestinians have been urging for a future for all people. They have not been asking for Jews to disappear from the land. They have been asking them not to be masters, not to be their dominators, not to be their oppressors. Calling for equality is not the same of what Israelis have been saying. They have literally, in the words of Muhammad al-Kurd from Sheikh Jarrah, have been chanting death to Arabs, as Palestinians have been chanting, we want freedom. And yet, despite all that, the spin is to emphasize that we are the ones who are lustful after violence. Let me remind people that what has been normalized is this colonial violence. Colonialism is real. It is meant to subjugate a people in order to extract from them their wealth, in order to dehumanize them and allow another peoples to prevail. In a settler colonial context such as this one, it is meant to remove Palestinians from their land. For everybody that is eager for nonviolence to prevail, then you should be condemning Israeli violence and asking for sanctions there. There are no rockets from Jerusalem. There are no rockets from Sheikh Jarrah. There are no rockets from Bethlehem. There are no rockets from Ramallah. So what explains Israel's domination there and their shoot-to-kill policies? Today, a sniper shot a Palestinian who was protesting at one of the Israeli settlements. How does Mitch McConnell explain that?
Noura Ekarat, thank you so much for your insight and enlightening us on your viewpoints. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.